Welcome back, students. Today we're looking at key features of authoritarian systems. So last time it was democratic systems. Today we're moving on to authoritarian. So you can think of this almost as the opposite of democratic systems. So the key features of authoritarian systems include power in a single authority, right? That is the main characteristic of this, right? It's a concentration of power, usually in a dictator or maybe in a small group of people, and that tends to suppress opposition. So basically any disagreement. Repression of dissent is common with restrictions on civil rights, so people don't really have that ability to voice concerns or disagreements. We see this in countries like North Korea and Belarus. So overall, the four characteristics include a centralized government control, limited political freedoms, lack of political pluralism, and repression of opposition. So a little bit more detail on each of these. For centralized government control, we see most or all of the power is in the hands of one leader or a small group. So they tend to have like an inner circle or a small cabinet, and all of the decision making rests within that one person or that small group. They control the government, make all the major decisions, and limit the role of others in leadership positions. We also have limited political freedoms. Citizens in these systems have few rights to express their opinions, criticize the government, or participate freely in politics. Free speech, protests, and voting are often restricted. So even if they do have like a facade of these things, ultimately people aren't really allowed to express their opinions. So we'll be taking a look at ways that this happens, where there might be elections or voting, but it's really done in name and not in actual practice. Lack of political pluralism is also very common in authoritarian systems. So they usually don't allow multiple political parties. It tends to be a single political party, or if there are more than one party, then those parties are heavily controlled, heavily monitored, to where there's not actual real political competition. And another major key feature is repression of opposition. So anybody, people, groups who speak out against the government in these authoritarian systems are often punished. This can include being arrested, being silenced, or even harmed, physically harmed, to stop them from challenging those in power. So if you have anything critical to say about the government, you will get in trouble. So this, I'm going to introduce you guys briefly to a source called Freedom House. This comes from their website. We support democracy advocates and human rights defenders. So this is such a great resource for just data and getting an overview of democracy and authoritarianism in different countries from around the world. So this is what it looks like. So the example we're going to use today is Saudi Arabia. The label, according to Freedom House, is not free, right? This is definitely an authoritarian country. Here breaks it down into political rights and also civil liberties. And you can see it's a very low score. So out of 40 points, that would make it a full democracy, right? It only has 1. For civil liberties, it only has 7 out of the 60 possible points. So, and out of the 100, it has 8 total. So Freedom House gives you an overview, and it does break down into more specific categories. Everybody will get the opportunity multiple times throughout this unit to explore this website. But let's take a look at what it says about Saudi Arabia. So this is just an overview. Overall, it says Saudi Arabia's absolute monarchy limits most political rights and freedom, right? An absolute monarchy, that means that they still have a king, and the king is the one that makes decisions. No officials are elected at the national level. Government stays in power by using widespread surveillance, as in it watches people, making it illegal to criticize the government, and focusing on ethnic and religious differences. So again, focusing on ethnic and religious differences helps to keep people divided and helps to keep the government in power. It also relies on oil money to fund public spending as opposed to other means. This also can lead to a lot of corruption. Women and religious minorities face a lot of discrimination, both by law and in everyday life. So in both legal practices and in like cultural practices. And then finally, many foreign workers in Saudi Arabia experience exploitative working conditions. So they don't have laws that protect them. Also on the Freedom House, so this is just a screenshot from there, you can see countries that are purple, they are not free. Countries that are green are considered free, and those that are yellow are in between. They have elements of both. So those are the key features of authoritarian governments.